Portland's massive downtown real estate fire sales, that's going to hasten millions in property tax losses. What do we got going on? The biggest building in Portland just sold for about an 88% discount. What kind of impact's that going to have on the city coffers? Let's get into it. And I'll give you a hint. It's not good. Here we go. There's a little background video on the sale of the big pink building and why it's so important. And remember, this isn't just Portland, Oregon. This is every big city that's had to face with an emptying of its downtown core due to the whole, we're going to work remotely from home forever until we're not. Oh, here we go.
Portland's iconic Big Pink has a new owner. 𝗧𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗔, CEO and founder of the 𝗧𝗜𝗏 Auto Group, has bought the building. This was an all-cash purchase, which our news partners at Willamette say is worth around $45 million.
But the building went for a little more than $370 million when it was last sold in 2015.
Insane.
The sale says this is part of 𝗧𝗜𝗏's broader investment strategy in Portland with the goal of energy, creativity, and optimism in the Rose City.
In a statement, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson says the sale and 𝗧𝗜𝗏's plans for the building are exactly the kind of commitment and optimism Portland needs. He says the city is ready to work with 𝗧𝗜𝗏 to support.
All right, so this is the positive spin on this sale. But what we're talking about and what the Oregonian covers is in order to get to where things turn around, you're going to have to suffer some real pain, because when you have an 88% discount from the last purchase price, your assessed value is going to go down. When you've got the hallmark of the building in Portland, the biggest building, 1.2 million square feet, and it's Big Pink. Everybody knows it by its nickname. When that sells for an 88% discount, you don't think there's going to be trickle-down effect to every other commercial building in Portland? If you're a building owner, why wouldn't you contest the value? Because your values have absolutely tanked. Maybe not 88%, but even 30%, 50%, 70%, whatever it might be. You're going to have to contend with, before this starts to actually have a positive impact, you're going to have a massive drain on city coffers from the standpoint of your tax base, your assessed value. Dropping assessed value isn't going to result in money coming through like it once did.
Tenants, boost confidence, and ensure that downtown is a great place to live, work, and build.
Last month, we talked with an economist who said a sale would mark a turning point that sparks the city's recovery. The bad news is the possible impact that the reduced market value of the property has on property tax collections in Portland and Multnomah County. But he believes the long-term good news outweighs that.
And the challenge now will be what to do with the building. The sale advertisement for the building last month said it was 55% vacant. It has more vacant space than some entire office buildings downtown.
The news release on the sale does say that 𝗧𝗜𝗏 plans to modernize and transform the tower and its adjacent plaza as a premier office destination. Seattle-based Unico Properties is still going to manage the building, though.
And we're hearing from a lot of
Then they go into, people are giving their opinion. This is the greatest thing ever. All right. Okay. But before you get ahead of yourself, what is the impact on the city coffers? What's that look like? Well, let's delve into it. U.S. Bank Tower, the skyline making office tower known as Big Pink, was until recently worth so much its owner ranked among Portland's top 10 property taxpayers. Top 10. This building, top 10. No longer. Yeah, literally. No longer. Building sale in July cemented its value at barely more than 1/10 its last sale price from 2015. Yeah, massive drop. Downtown's plunging real estate values come as no surprise. The pandemic switch to remote work sent occupancy rates plummeting. Portland has probably some of the highest vacancy rates in the United States. San Francisco has been on a comeback because they've got that whole AI industry that's just really taken off. And so a lot of that's been switched out for AI. Portland, not so much. Portland suffering lasting reputational damage from protests and spikes in property crime and homicides and homelessness. early in the decade has been slower to rebound than peer cities, and owners have already successfully argued in property tax appeals that their buildings are worth far less than they were 10 years ago. So what this is going to do is, in my opinion, this is going to have a massive effect on every property. Because what owner is going to leave a whole bunch of value on the table that they could pull off and not be paying taxes on? Well, but only now, with sales pushing a big reset on property values, are regional governments and taxing districts experiencing those losses. And because it's on typically a 3-year running average, I don't know specifically what Multnomah does, but that's kind of more or less, it's on a running average. So, you got to have sales from within that 3-year running average that you can point at and say, hey, here we are. Well, in the last 3 years, there have been very few sales. It's been just this massive decline in value. And now we're hitting that rock bottom. 88% off, that's rock bottom. Portland's plummeting office building values are sending them into a state of tax compression. It's a new word. Oregon voters mostly decoupled property taxes from market values in the 1990s ballot measure, then hoping to insulate their tax bills from soaring home prices. But they also established tax caps that are functions of a property's market value, and when values sink far enough, then assessors compress the amount they collect. Oh, new word, folks, compress. Yeah, not value loss, compress. It used to be big, now it's compressed. It used to be $372.5 million, now it is $45 million. Compressed. Property tax losses from compression in Multnomah County exceeded $130 million in 2024 tax year, increasing 22% from the prior year. They are talking about, because of assessed values, them taking in less tax revenue. That exploded from the $78 million in such losses in 2019, before the COVID-19 pandemic. Portland's plummeting office building values contributed significantly to compression losses, said county assessor, who forecast losses will widen with more fire sales. This is not hard to figure out, folks. It is not hard to figure out. And this is not just Portland. It's just that Portland is the poster child for how not to run your downtown core. Because when we had Tear Gas Teddy, Mayor Teddy, out there doing his love hug with the soccer moms and Antifa, and they're literally trying to light a federal building on fire, which I saw with my own 2 eyes and videotaped it with my son Brennan. It doesn't exactly exude confidence for investors who want to buy a big office building in that market, having to deal with that kind of nonsense. You've literally just got shenanigans playing out, and Tear Gas Teddy was right there glad-handing, Antifa and saying, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh, this is the best. We love George Floyd. We love Fentanyl Floyd. He's our hero. And we all know how that went. And here we are. You've got a huge discount, a massive plummet of property values. Who would have seen that coming? Oh, I wouldn't have thought cause and effect, right? The compression loss absolutely will be where they suffer the most, Vaughn said of local budgets. Even those numbers might underestimate the impact. Compression only accounts for part of the loss from the collapse of downtown real estate prices. Office valuation reset is viewed by industry insiders as inevitable. No kidding. It's kind of like, yeah, values go down, tax income goes down, owners pay less because that's how the game is played. Bitter medicine. So your $400-500 million hole, your budget hole, whatever it is. I think Portland's only a couple $100 million. Are they $150 million? Which is considered bitter medicine that will set the stage for more affordable rents that will draw tenants and reinvestment in the long run. But in the short run, you'll have a compression of not only values, but tax revenues. But for now, the reset will leave school board members, county commissioners, and city councilors fighting over how to fill big budget holes. Who is filling big budget holes right now? Who else? How about let's go Brandon Johnson? I just got through doing a big podcast on him. Not big, normal. I don't know why I said big, because it sounds better than I just did a small, tiny little podcast. No, did a podcast on Let's Go Brandon Johnson, and he is going to fill the big budget holes with progressive revenue. Progressive revenue. He's going to tax the rich. He's going to tax the heck out of the rich. Rich will leave Chicago. That's how the game is played. What happened when Washington State starts going after all kinds of tax revenue dollars? Yeah, all kinds of, taxation on rich people. Jeff Bezos leaves, sold his house, West Bellevue, $63 million, moved he and his new bride to Florida. That's what happens. Cause and effect. Vaughn often stresses to his staff that every dollar uncollected as a result of an error could have helped fund a firefighter or teacher job or fix a pothole in a road. This is where a lot of their tax dollars come from. The drops in building values will result in the loss of many more such dollars, and he doesn't know how the tax tension will shake out. They're going to have to come up with it from somewhere else, so they're going to have to tax the F out of something else. Property owners. That's what it's going to be. And in Oregon and specifically Multnomah County, they already tax the heck out of their constituents. So I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be good. This is a messier one, Vaughn said. Oh, this is messy. We've got compression. We've got messy. Growing tax losses are yet another way Portland will wallow in a social and economic slump. It's behind other cities 5 years after COVID-19. Population growth has lagged other U.S. metros since 2020, and job growth has only slowly recovered. And the real estate market has not, especially the commercial downtown, has not recovered. Winners are emerging in places like New York, where the total assessed value for office buildings rose marginally in the upcoming tax roll, driven by strong leasing. It came back. Shocker. Seattle, like Portland, has struggled to regain leasing momentum post-pandemic, dampening the property tax revenue generated by its downtown office buildings. This is not a unique situation. This is just how the game is played or not played, or how compression enters the picture. Portland budget officials crunched the numbers last year and found plunging downtown office values and tepid regional growth would force the city government to forego $33 million in general fund revenue by 2029. They're just trying to figure out where's our money coming from, where's it going to. Assessed values, which generally increase at a rate of 3% each year. Is that right? Multnomah County? 3% each year, just slow climb to the heavens, give homeowners stability on their tax bills, but they've also smoothed budget turbulence for local governments. The whipsaw nature of commercial real estate values, on the other hand, has introduced unpredictably into city budget officials' forecasts. They said in a memo, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? I mean, this is going to have major impact. Portland and other local governments aren't at risk of negative year-to-year property tax revenue anytime soon. Commercial property taxes pale in comparison to the share homeowners pay every year. So, homeowners, you're gonna have to come up. It's gonna have to come up. And maybe it's not on your homeowner taxation, but it's gonna be somewhere. So expect those taxes. It's not like the Great Recession where every single property type is affected. No, it's not, because your residential has not been impacted by the same degree. People still need a home to live in, but they don't necessarily need office space. And that's the kicker, right? Everybody, we're going to work from home forever. It's going to be great. It's going to be excellent. This is going to be amazing. But now all you're seeing is cities, big companies, Microsoft, Amazon, everybody wanting their employees' rear ends back in the desk, back in the seat at the office. Because from city leadership down, they've said, hey, we need to get taxes going back here again into the downtown cores. We need to revitalize the downtown core because we ain't cutting it right now. That whole work from home thing was shocking. It was shocking to city budgets. And this is one of those things where when everybody left and you allowed just homelessness and drugs to take over, and when Portland decriminalized hard drugs. What kind of impact do you think that would have on your downtown core? Not good. And then homelessness, just allow homelessness to just take over because the CDC said, don't clear out homeless encampments, might spread the Rona. And then on top of that, you defund the police and you've got a drug epidemic and you just kind of let that go. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. And you don't prioritize public safety. What could go wrong? This is what we're seeing. This is absolutely what we're seeing. So I think Mayor Keith Wilson of Portland, this is news for reasonable people. It's not news for morons again. I think he is doing what he can, but he is literally putting his finger in the hole in the dike. No jokes there. I mean, Dutch style, right? You got a big, huge wall. You got a little spring coming out. You're plugging what hole you can. But there's only so much that mayor can do. And Mayor Keith Wilson, he has been pro safety, but he's just got one fire after another going. The sale of Big Pink and other prominent buildings will ripple across Portland's central city, triggering potential reevaluations of other office buildings' tax bills. And that's the bottom line, right? Multnomah County, like any appraiser, uses sales of comparable properties to judge the value of those not recently on the market. That's where they come up with value. What is your most recent sale? Well, it was 88% off of market value from 2015. So, even if you take a 20% or 30% whack, those are huge numbers when you combine all those values aggregate. Big Pink last month sold in Nevada, 45, 327.5. I think that was 372.5 in value. In 2015, 372.5, not 327.5, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. Vaughn said his office plans to scrutinize properties such as Big Pink and others that traded hands in 12 months. If the math shows a downward trend in value of a certain percentage, he said, staff will apply that percentage to the real estate values of similar office properties. That's how they do it. They apply it across the board. They've got a formula. They enter it into their formula. They've got land valuation. They've got improvement valuation. And then they've got general trends. You want to take an 80% whack, 70% whack. This is just one building, right? And it's 55% vacant. I mean, so it's 1.2 million. So you got what? 700,000 square feet that's vacant. That's bigger than most buildings in Portland. So this is a one-off. What are the other buildings going to sell for? That's what we don't know. But how about we just go with this, which is a sure bet? Less than what they've sold for in the past. As an example, Vaughn estimated Big Pink's tax bill could drop by at least 1.2 million. Okay. Is that hopeful? I think so. You've got to have a bigger tag than that. Drop in revenue. The new owner has the right mindset, he said. That's a reason to be optimistic. So they've got to spin this. Because this reset cost them a lot. And it's going to cost them a lot. Because what building owner isn't going to appeal their assessed value? Which one? I mean, if the numbers are on the table and you can get a reduction, why wouldn't you? Yeah, I just like to pay a lot in taxes. I just really enjoy, sending my money into Multnomah County. I love the county. They've done such a great job that I just want to, leave this money on the table, let them take it because, fiscally, I feel like they're pretty responsible. No, it's not going down that way. Not going down that way at all. So article goes into why U.S. Bancorp, the building just absolutely tanked in value. Yeah, there it is, $372.5 million. I mean, just massive drop. What's a tower with a Ritz-Carlton worth? It's going into foreclosure, the Ritz-Carlton building. I mean, it's happening all over Portland. because that's the state of the market. It's dangerous there. You've got lunatics running around with knives doing crazy stuff. People don't necessarily want to, sign a long-term lease for a building where their tenants could get killed if they go out to lunch midday. That's a massive exaggeration, but it's really not that much of an exaggeration when you start to talk to folks that live in the downtown, even downtown Seattle, downtown Nordstrom. You hear what I'm saying? You know who you are. You send me stories, and I'm like, ew. You know what I mean? It sounds tough. You've got a lot of street conditions that aren't great, and you've got a city that isn't really willing or able to drop the hammer like they need to, Rudy Giuliani style, New York City style, because we're just not doing that anymore, because we love our fellow human beings so much that we want to keep them out of jail, on the streets, doing drugs, living in an encampment. Should all be good. It's all good. It's all good. It's going to work out fine. Well, maybe not for the commercial real estate values, but it's Portland. Keep Portland weird. Keep Portland property values down. That's what's happening. Wild stuff. From an appraisal standpoint, this is unprecedented. I don't think you saw a drop. I know you didn't see a drop in the Great Recession, commercial-wise. You saw a big drop in residential, maybe 30, 40%, but not 88%. And you didn't even see that in the Great Recession or Great Depression. I'm sorry. You didn't see it in the Great Depression. Property values didn't decline that much. There was still a market. So Portland being the poster child for how not to handle your downtown core. They are reaping the impact of that going on right now. More to come, because more buildings will be sold at massive, massive discounts until this market starts to level itself out. We're a long ways from that, But this sale here was kind of the beginning. And the numbers, 372.5 down to 45. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Oof. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for listening to me babble on about commercial real estate values. I mean, it's not an easy sell, but it's super important, because this is what pays for bills. This is what pays for parks. It pays for cops. It pays for And when you don't have it, just ask Let's Go Brandon how that's going. Progressive revenue. Thanks again for being here. I'll catch up with you on the next one. Bye for now.